The United States is about to experience a potential for major severe weather, and we have a potential for a tropical storm developing in the Gulf. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what you need to know about the weather over the next few days. So let's jump right into the forecast. It's Sunday, July 19th, 2026, and you can see here, this is our severe weather outlook for today. We're going to first talk about the slight risk that we have up here in parts of the northern plains today. We have a slight risk for severe weather placed over eastern North Dakota, northeastern South Dakota, and parts of western Minnesota today. And we have a marginal risk, which is level 1 out of 5 surrounding that, going from parts of Minnesota all the way down into parts of the Rockies. Our tornado threat today will be very low. However, I do think a brief spin-up tornado will be a possibility in parts of northern North Dakota today. I do also think that we could be seeing a damaging wind threat today, with a few gusts that could be intense, potentially getting up to 75 mile per hour or more. That's mainly going to be from parts of North Dakota down into northern South Dakota, southeastern Montana, and parts of northeastern Wyoming. So we'll have to watch out for maybe some 75 mile per hour plus winds inside of that hatched area. So you guys want to be making sure to strap down unsecured objects. And then we do have a threat for hail today. We could see some large to very large hail today with some of our storms. It's mainly going to be around Bismarck, North Dakota today. So definitely be sure to park your car in the garage so that it doesn't get damaged by hail, as we could see hail up to hen egg size inside of that conditional intensity group 1 for hail today. So definitely be prepared for that. That's not the only risk for severe weather today. We also have a severe weather risk down here in the southeast today. We got a slight risk going from parts of North Carolina down to northern Georgia. We got marginal risk surrounding that. So we got most of the severe weather done today because I was pretty busy this morning, had to go to church and everything like that. It's going to start dying down here, but I could still see a few severe storms, so definitely make sure you stay prepared if you're down here. The main concerns will be a potential for some damaging wind gusts. Hail or tornadoes will not be a big concern down here. As we get into tomorrow, we are expected to see more severe weather. This is expected to be pretty significant. We could see a few severe storms tomorrow out here in parts of the mid-Atlantic, North Carolina, and around Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow. You guys want to be making sure to be having a way to get alerts where we got damaging winds being the main concern, but the main concern is actually going to be up here from parts of the upper peninsula of Michigan down into parts of eastern Iowa. Well, this is going to be something that we got to watch very closely. This is for tomorrow on Monday. We got a level 3 enhanced risk out here, and we got a level 2 out of 5 slight risk that goes around that enhanced risk from northeastern Nebraska all the way up there into the upper peninsula of Michigan. Going around that slight risk is a marginal risk, which is a level 1, going from parts of Michigan all the way down to northern Missouri. We got to watch this very closely. We do have a threat for tornadoes tomorrow, with a conditional risk for strong tornadoes if we can get a supercell to really mature within these areas inside of this hatched risk right here. And I do think a strong tornado will be a possibility as our environment does support it. So we'll have to watch that very closely inside of that hatched area. We could see tornadoes up to EF2 plus intensity. So you guys definitely want to be watching out for that, especially if you're in that hatched tornado risk. And around that hatched tornado risk, we do have a 5% tornado risk where you have a potential for a few tornadoes. And an isolated brief spin-up tornado cannot be ruled out within that 2% tornado risk. Like I said earlier, the main concern will be damaging winds tomorrow. As you can see here, we do have a 30% wind risk out here from parts of northeastern Iowa up into the UP of Michigan, and also includes a big part of Wisconsin. You can see some gusts up to 75 mile per hour or more tomorrow in those areas. So definitely prepare today and make sure you're strapping on unsecured objects so it doesn't fly away. We also see some hail tomorrow with any supercells. We could see some hail getting up to hen egg size. So definitely make sure to park your car in the garage tomorrow if you're inside of this risk area. As we get into Tuesday, another severe weather threat is likely to take place. It includes from the Ohio Valley up into the northeast. We do have an enhanced risk already in place that goes from northeastern Kentucky all the way up into western Pennsylvania. Enhanced risk includes Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we'll have to watch this very closely. And this is mainly going to be a damaging wind chance. We could see a few tornadoes and maybe some hail. And then going around that enhanced risk, we have a very large slight risk that goes from parts of the Ohio Valley all the way over there towards the mid-Atlantic. Going over to our probabilities, we do have a 45% total severe probability going from northeastern Kentucky and western Pennsylvania. In that pink risk, that's going to be the area I'm watching the closest right now for severe weather on Tuesday. And it does not stop there. As we get into Wednesday, another severe weather threat is likely from northern South Carolina up there into southern New Jersey, where we could see mainly a damaging wind threat. We are expected to see storms start to forming out here in the northern plains, potentially around the evening hours and into the overnight hours, as we're expecting some clusters of storms to develop, producing a damaging wind threat as well as a hail threat. I do not think the tornado risk out here will be that high, but I wouldn't rule out an isolated brief tornado. So if you're out in these areas out here in the parts of the northern plains, especially in northern South Dakota, eastern North Dakota, and western western Minnesota, and even parts of central North Dakota. If you guys want to be watching for some severe weather today, if we go ahead and look at the future radar, the time is at the bottom left of your screen. We're going to get some storms start forming around Bismarck. It's likely going to be a little bit later today, likely around 8 a.m. Eastern. Then we're going to get storms to push through those areas, producing mainly a damaging wind threat throughout these areas. As you can see, a pretty significant line showing up. This is not exactly what it's going to look like, but this kind of just to give you a look at what it could look like on the radar. This is the HRRR. We're also going to have potential for a few storms pop up down here in southeastern South Dakota, which could produce some damaging winds, but it won't be it won't be as high as a risk to the north. As we lose daylight heating and the instability starts to go away, the storms out here that develop near Bismarck will start dying down out in parts of Minnesota. But however, if you're going to have this circle, you guys want to be making sure to have a way to get alerts. Also could see a few damaging wind gusts out here in parts of northwestern Minnesota and parts of eastern North Dakota. So we'll have to watch that. That's going to be while you're sleeping tonight out there in northern Minnesota. So definitely make sure to have a way to get alerts while you're sleeping. Make sure you have a NOAA weather radio ready if you have it. So we recommend it if you don't have it. And then we're expected those storms to start dying out as we get into the morning hours tomorrow. You can see down here for some of our storms out here in the mid-Atlantic and southeast, these storms are going to start dying down here soon. They're still going to continue producing damaging winds and maybe some hail for a while, but then they should start dying down as we get into the overnight hours. So you guys want to be staying prepared if you're out here and everything like that. And we'll talk about this tropical storm here once we get over the timing for the severe weather. As we get into tomorrow, a trough in this low pressure system will move through Canada and is expected to start initiating storms tomorrow and from the in parts of the afternoon throughout parts of the Midwest. These storms have a potential to produce all hazards, with the main concern being damaging winds in these areas. We're expected to see a few supercells potentially start forming out here in eastern Iowa tomorrow, parts of the early evening hours. See a few storms out here in central Iowa start to pop up, north of Des Moines. Those could produce some damaging winds, hail, and a tornado. We do have a conditional strong tornado threat out here if we get a sustained discrete supercell to pop up in the right place where we have most of those ingredients. At central Wisconsin, I'm watching that area the closest for a strong tornado, but we could see a few strong tornadoes even going down there to northeastern Iowa. So we'll have to watch that very closely. The HRRR is showing some discrete supercells popping up out here, so we'll have to watch that closely. And then it's also going to be a pretty big damaging wind threat out here, especially once these storms out here congeal into a big cluster. Okay, we're going to have to watch these areas in western Michigan over there towards the upper peninsula of Michigan. So what it could look like around 8 p.m. The timing is going to be at the bottom left of your screen there. So it's going to be it looks like it's going to be a pretty big damaging wind threat. As we get into the overnight hours, the storms are expected to continue producing gusty to severe wind gusts out there in parts of Michigan and northern Indiana. Then they're going to continue to push through. And actually, as we get into the early morning hours on Tuesday, they could actually cause some damaging wind gusts out there from parts of northern Illinois, northern Indiana, down into central Ohio. So it's definitely vital that you're having a way to get alerts tomorrow in these areas, especially in the overnight hours if you're out there in the Great Lakes region. So we'll have to watch this very closely. Then as those storms move farther south on Tuesday, they're expected to produce some damaging winds out there in parts of West Virginia and down there in parts of northeastern Kentucky. So we'll have to watch that very closely there. And yeah, they'll be pretty early, so these storms will probably surprise some people out here. On Tuesday, could potentially get more storms to start forming. We could also see a few storms up here on Tuesday in parts of the northeast. That could also be severe. So also make sure you're staying prepared for that if you're out there in parts of central New York, or pretty much almost anywhere in New York. You guys want to be prepared for maybe some isolated severe storms on Tuesday. And then here's what Wednesday could look like. We're also expect to see a few clusters of storms develop out here on Wednesday. That are expected to produce some damaging winds and some hail. I do think the tornado threat will be very low on Wednesday, but it is going to be something to keep a close eye on. Now let's talk about our tropical storm that's trying to form out here in the Gulf. This is a tropical depression right now, producing gusts up to around 30 to 40 miles per hour, but this is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm. This is going to be tomorrow, potentially around 8 a.m. is when we could see that turn into a tropical storm. Could produce gusts potentially getting up to 52 miles per hour and sustained 40 miles per hour. This tropical storm is expected to continue moving through these areas tomorrow, and is expected to continue making its way towards Louisiana, which could actually cause a few damaging wind gusts in Louisiana. The tornado threat is going to be very low. So if you're out there in Louisiana, be prepared for landfall, as this tropical storm, which is predicted to be tropical storm Bertha, is expected to make landfall potentially on July 22nd, and then on the morning of July 23rd is expected to be out in parts of southern Louisiana, and eastern Louisiana is expected to make landfall on July 22nd. So New Orleans, be prepared for some gusty winds with this tropical storm. We could see gusts up to 60 to 70 miles per hour and wind speed up to 58 miles per hour. So be prepared if you're out there in New Orleans. And this could actually track towards Houston. As you can see here, this is the GFS model, which is the global forecast system. You can see here that this storm could actually make it towards Houston here. It doesn't give the best picture of what that storm could actually look like though here on the GFS, but you can see that this is kind of the expected path of it. Is expected to potentially make another landfall in Houston, as it's going to go over parts of Louisiana. Then it's going to go back into the water. It'll have a little bit of time to strengthen again. It will go back into Texas and around the Houston area with wind gusts up to 63 miles per hour, and wind speed is going to be like 52 miles per hour. So be prepared if you're out there, but I don't think it will be anything too crazy. If we go ahead and load the spaghetti models here, you can see most of them are showing them kind of taking the track as the National Hurricane Center is saying. And that is pretty much all I got for you in today's forecast. And definitely make sure to slap a like on this video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Stay tuned.